Hello and welcome to the Daily Brown Bag. Today we're going to be talking about SEO press release tips. I'm Chad Hill and I'm joined by Adam Stetzer.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chad. This is a great brown bag topic because the idea of SEO press releases or doing press releases for SEO value has been in the discussion recently, and I think a lot of people are looking for tips and tricks and trying to understand where the industry is. Indeed, press releases have been coming under fire from the Google web spam team for quite a while, Chad. We've been talking about it for the last year or so. And in the past, certainly spammers did use press releases as a way to put out, kind of crappy, terrible content that didn't serve any public relations purpose, which of course was the original intent of press releases. So Google has been, noticing this, and they've started talking about press releases and links in press releases as unnatural. They've been talking a lot about when you should no follow these links, and there's a lot of debate out there, Chad, on whether that should be every press release or only if it's a keyword-rich link. So I think there are a lot of opinions on that, but there's definitely people now looking at the press releases and making sure there isn't keyword stuffing, where some people had done that in the past. And in general, just trying to make sure the quality of the press release is evaluated in a new light. Now, this has been given some recent oomph because the press release sites themselves saw a pretty significant drop after the Panda 4.0 update in May. We know PR Newswire, one of the best known, Chad, and largest press release sites, recently announced several steps that they're taking to try to combat the spam issue and become more compliant with the Google guidelines. And probably out of this will grow some, SEO press release tips for our viewers. The company announced that they would, take this on, and ironically, they made that announcement in a press release. So they're still in this business, but they said effective immediately that any content submitted to them would be evaluated under the new guidelines to ensure it is quality content. So similar to the evolution we've seen in SEO in general, that it has to have audience value, they really want to reduce the amount of low quality content being distributed through their service and through their partners, and they definitely want to stop the exploitation of press releases to artificially manipulate search rankings. Obviously, that's their attempt to become compliant with the webmaster guidelines, and they're doing a pretty extensive job of this, Chad. They're going through all their previous content, and they've got some sort of criteria to try to figure out what's low quality content and what should stay. So that's kind of the state of affairs. I guess that changes the conversation to what are the tips for SEO press releases we should offer to our reseller community.
Well, Adam, we should add one more thing to that last point, which is to talk about specifically what the editors are going to be looking for. And so PR Newswire gave us 4 pieces of information. Some of these are harder to understand than others, but they said they're looking for inclusion of insightful analysis and original content. They are looking for varied formats, meaning that if every single press release that a company puts out is exactly 200 words and it looks exactly the same every time, that may be too formulaic. The length of the content, and then if there is some sort of density on a particular keyword for keyword stuffing. So those are the 4 things they're going to be looking for, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how that analysis goes. But I think really the news here, as you said, is that PR Newswire knows that Google and having their press releases show up in Google is critically important to their business, and so they're trying to align their business with Google. Obviously, if you have this behemoth in the search space, everyone does have to be very aware of it. So what they said is that specifically Google's recent action targeting low-quality content in Panda 4.0 updates affirms the importance of ensuring press releases and other content distributed via PR Newswire's network are of real utility and interest to journalists and bloggers as well as the general public. So I think really, launching into what are our tips, the first thing is it comes really back to this idea of insightful analysis and the real utility, which has been a part of our real SEO pitch for quite some time now. So the first rule is make sure you have something newsworthy. And really the primary purpose of a press release is to either to put out some interesting information that might spark a discussion about your point of view, or potentially it's that for an actual press, someone in the press to actually cover you, or the second thing would be to actually put out some interesting thing you're doing that one of your potential customers might be interested in reading. So again, the primary audience should not be the search engine, it should be a real audience, whether that's a potential customer or a journalist out there. So if you take that, it should serve as a backgrounder on this particular topic, and very much is still a legitimate PR tool. In fact, I know that when we put out press releases, we often do see people respond back to them and ask for more information. Again, assuming it's a legitimate, insightful piece of content that does elicit or the response you get from a journalist is that they want to follow up with you. Now, the final point here is that it should always follow the same guidelines as all of your other content, and that means that, you know, if you would be embarrassed to put it on your website, you shouldn't put it out on a Newswire service. It needs to make sure that you enhance it with images, ideally, especially some of the new formats they support. Make sure the grammar is correct. Make sure that you're not stuffing it with keywords, that it's readable. So all the normal things that you would do with anything that would go out of your company with your name on it. I think that's really like the guidance that we would offer up, and certainly you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. This is still a valuable tool that's critically important to helping build companies' brands and get their information out to the public.
Yeah, excellent tips and tricks, and there's no doubt many people still believe that press releases have SEO value and can include do follow links in moderation, but we say this all the time, go back to the Google Webmaster Guidelines. If you're placing a link with the intention of manipulating the rankings, you're on the wrong side of the law. So as you said, Chad, focus on that audience value, make sure you have something newsworthy, and put something out that is interesting and you'd be proud of, and it follows our test. We always say, would I tweet this? It's a great rule of thumb to follow here. So that's our brown bag coverage of SEO press releases here in 2014. Drop us a comment. We'd like to hear your thoughts. Are you still using them in your digital marketing mix? And we hope we'll see you back here at a brown bag tomorrow.